So let's go to Kristin and Mitch. So opening with them, we see Kristin meeting with her friend Zoe to go make candles, and Zoe's asking her, you know, how are things going? And Kristin says, you know, married life is as good as she thought it would be, but she's very conflicted.
Yeah.
And Zoe was kind of like, how is it so good if you're conflicted and you have this issue? But she says, you know,
very simple.
He got obsessive about her sharing her dream about flipping houses and made it very negative, went to a negative connotation, and like that threw her for a loop. It was like he made her feel like she needed to rethink her dreams based on his opinion. And, you know, she was just like, I want somebody that's going to be there for me and support my dreams and not be so critical of what it is that I say I'm doing. And she said, you know, it was like, it made her think about her parents and how, like, it would really hurt her if they didn't approve of her husband. Like, they wouldn't, obviously, no parent wants their child's spouse to, like, cut them down.
Yeah.
So, you know, she was concerned there. Like, basically, it sounded like to me, like, I wouldn't want to share this with them because they would be like, I don't want anybody hurting my baby. And rightfully so. Don't want anybody hurting my baby neither.
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants that, but at the same time, she has to be able to set her own boundaries, and she hasn't been able to set the boundaries with Mitch. I mean, I understand with your parents and all that, but she has to be able to, hey, Mitch, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I like, don't like, and you irritate me with this, and I feel that you XYZ when it came to my dreams. Mm-hmm. What she shared with Zoe is what she should be sharing with Mitch.
And she did later.
She did later.
She did later. She just...
But I think she felt more comfortable in numbers.
She had an emotional vomit.
Yeah.
But anyway, Zoe says, you know, there are a lot of pieces to Kristin, and, you know, it's kind of given to her like he's not valuing her, or he wants her to change, and she needs somebody who wants her for her. And Kristin said the way she plans to attack it is, I'm going to be the best wife that I can be. And hopefully me being the best wife that I can be will bring out the best version of him. And she said, but ultimately, she was like, marriage is going fine, being married is going fine, but I'm still not sure if he's a match for me.
Yeah.
If we're a match.
And I think Zoe told her, don't be careful by doing so much for him that you don't lose who you are. Because he has to give some give and take as well. And it has to be something on his side to give, and not just you doing that. Mm-hmm. You know.
Next thing we see is, like we said, Stasha came to get Luna. She's watching Luna for them while they go out of town. They went out of town for the weekend for the Monthiversary. And they drive to the mountains in Julian, California. Never heard of it. But no. It looked nice, but I was thinking, same thing with Miguel and Lindy. As when Kristin and Mitch went to the mountains, it's like, gosh, they look cold.
Yeah, but it's February and it's San Diego.
Yeah,
a little chilly.
They both look cold. Like Lindy had a big old thick coat on, and
yeah,
I feel like I could see Kristin and Mitch blowing their breath when they went on the mountains. But they went to a quiet mind retreat, and when they walk in, you know, Mitch is like, it's giving Buddhist vibes, and Kristin thought it would be good for them to have yoga to start the weekend. And, you know, he said he's looking forward to it because it's very rare that his mind is, like he said, my mind's not usually very quiet.
Nah, it's always running. I'm
going to get to quiet my mind down. That's something I usually don't do. But as they're doing their yoga poses and stretching, I mean, Mitch's age is showing some kind of bad. Cause every move he's like, ugh,
his mind was quiet, but his body wasn't.
She was like, he's doing a lot of grunting.
He was hurting.
And loud.
He was hurting when he got to some of the stretches, his back and his neck and his legs. But he felt relieved afterwards, though. He felt like, hey, I released, as he said, I released a lot of demons.
Intention.
So.
She was like, you talk about Luna, but bruh, the noises you was just making, good gosh. But, you know, they both talked about how, you know, they feel like they've been pushed to the edge of their marriage with, you know, trying to relate to each other, but they're finding their way. And they talk about, oh, it looks like it's a storm brewing outside, and Kristin was like, well, at least not brewing in our marriage, not today.
Not today.
So I like that. They get their month anniversary basket at the retreat at the mountains, which I thought was funny. I was like, silly me. I was like, they came all the way to the mountains to give them their basket, and you were like, I'm sure production staff had the basket.
Yeah,
I'm like,
production already had it. So
I'm like, you so busy worried about producing, how you got time to hold to basket? But anyway, that was my
job.
That was my I don't want to offend nobody. That was my blonde moment, but
yeah, that's your blonde moment. Yep, blonde moment.
Okay, so anyway, they go through the basket and look at the photos and the vows, and Mitch felt like it was a good reminder for them after, they had such a hard week with the conversation about flipping houses or whatever. And, he says he actually gets real sentimental about, especially the vows. It's like, I needed to hear those again so I can really, put it into practice and see if I'm doing what I should be doing. She gets teary-eyed looking at the pics of her dad, and we know she's a daddy's girl, and that was part of the reason why she didn't want to tell him until the day of that, she was getting married. And their thing is that they could continue with the positive and embracing the moment, that they could probably fall in love.
Yeah. I mean, Mitch has grown on a lot of people, grown on me. I mean, at first people didn't, I wasn't a big Mitch fan, but I like Mitch now. Mitch is doing what he needs to do for his marriage.
And Kristin's thing is, she feels like no matter what happens, she won't have any regrets. She's put her best foot forward, that she tried.
Yeah, she's putting it all in. She's going all in for Mitch.
So at the table, one thing I want to remark is Stasha made a comment about Mitch. Was like, oh wow, look at Mitch all dressed up. He got a blazer on.
Yeah, they were surprised.
He got dress shoes on and a color shirt. Wow. After he didn't want to put that other shirt on. Look at Mitch. Wow.
We all know Mitch didn't want to look like everybody else.
But they all talk about, where they are now. Miguel says things have been going well and everything is working out. Lindy said in the past, she'd been able to walk away and get away with murder. But, Miguel's been holding her accountable. It's taking a lot of work on her end, and, he's with the work. Stasha shares that it's been growing pains for her. She knows what she wants and who she is, but she still realized that she has some growing to do when it comes to dealing with somebody else and how she's so upfront with her emotions. But Nate is not. Nate says, I have to take I'm the type to take a more calm approach. Yeah. I feel like we complement each other. We have a lot in common, and we see the bigger picture. And he shares, he shares at the table. I feel like I'm falling in love with her. I want somebody that's going to be my best friend and we can do life with. And he says, I see her being my best friend. And everybody's like, ooh, and ah for them. And so when it comes to Kristin and Mitch, Kristin says, I want him to go first.
I like her. I like that because, I don't want you to bounce off of me. I want you to say what you feel. Right? And so then I already know what I want to say, but I want you to go first. And I'm sure she probably make him go first on decision day. Yeah.
She said, I want you to go first. And so Mitch says, it's been difficult. He's never lived with somebody before. So this was really a leap of faith for him. It's a journey of self-discovery. And, he wasn't sure if he had the capacity to be a husband, which I think y'all might have talked about this on the panel Sunday, and we've talked about it before. It's like being a husband was on his bucket list, and he has checked off.
Oh, he checked it off.
He's checked off being a husband on his bucket list.
And now
that's really what it was to him. Because for him to sit there and say, it's a leap of faith for me, it's about self-discovery, and I didn't know if I had the capacity to be a husband.
He didn't ever think it would happen until he found the right person. He thought he was too extreme in his views and his belief and who he is to ever get to this point.
And on the flip side, then Kristin responds that basically she was like, I came in this prepared to be a wife.
Yes.
You didn't come in prepared to be a husband. She said, I was a wife before I came into this process. You weren't. She said, he's an incredible man, and I have no doubt how hard he's been trying. But he's been saying a lot of stuff. that I'm like, based on what you're saying, do you know you signed up to be a husband? Like, what you saying don't sound like somebody that signed up to be a husband. You know, it's like he struggles to be a husband. She came into this, like I said, already a wife.
But no man comes to being a husband. There's some characteristics you have. You don't prepare for this marriage thing. I mean, you could prepare, but it's like there's no game plan. There's no book that's written. There's certain things you can do, but there's certain things that you just don't understand. And because you're dealing with a person that you got to live with every day, that you got to deal with every day, deal with their emotions, their feelings, and same thing with wives, vice versa. So you can't come in, and she said, I came in this thing as a wife. No, you didn't, because you was hurt and you was broken by the fact that the guy left you at the altar. Now you had an idea what a wife does, and we see some of that. She's back. She's appeasing. She's losing herself. She's losing who she is. That's not what a wife's supposed to do. Lose herself in a marriage. She said that's why she had a verbal vomit at the table, because she was losing herself.
But I think when she says I came in as a wife, meaning I understood that it would be some work that would need to be done. There'd be some things that like we're putting two lives together. I think she realized that, you know, it was work that needed to be done, not just on her part, but it may be some on her spouse. But so what she's saying is, I came in ready to be a wife, like to make a home, to make a happy home, and to relate to somebody and deal with someone. And you came in just to have that person adapt to you. That's what she means. She came in understanding that marriage and being a wife is a give and take. And he basically came in on the, I'm going to give it and she going to take it. I think that's what she was saying.
Okay.
But she did say, you know, it's going so well because I'm trying so hard and I'm compromising. But when do I get to stop trying to please him before I snap? Because I'm getting ready to snap. And she basically snaps. And she was like, I might completely lose it on Mitch. And this is where I snap. She said, I'm putting in a whole lot of work. And he is too. But I came in more emotionally prepared. And she was like, I apologize for the verbal vomit. But like, I just want to be real. And he was like, it's fine. Be yourself. Express yourself. He allowed her that. And she was like, I don't want you to tiptoe around. I want you to be yourself. And I want you to know it won't shut me down if you tell me that I'm stifling you. You know, and so that's what she's been leery of. I don't want to tell him this because, like, I don't know how he's going to take it. He's like, I'm a big boy. I can take it. Go ahead and tell him.
So she's being dishonest with herself. And I think sometimes she was being dishonest with herself about how he's going to take it. And if you feeling that way, don't allow yourself to be emotionally depressed or emotionally down. Share with your spouse. Tell them how you feel. She felt comfortable in the space with everybody at the table to share. That which means she didn't feel comfortable just sharing it with Mitch.